Another day, another dollar. We are still pushing on business and marketing. And last time we did our first introduction, or rather, we did our first session. And maybe just in case you missed what we were talking about, I just want to do a little recap. I just highlight some of the points that we started with, so that you can understand now where we are going. But still, we have the video. If you never got a chance to watch, you can always go back and watch. So the last time we were introducing marketing and business, because they are one and the same, they are related. And we said some of the things that we talked about here was one was common mistakes businesses makes. Okay, that was one thing that we looked at. Number two, we also looked at, or we said, go where people are looking. Okay, this was in reference to creating demand, or rather going where demand exists rather than creating demand. Then number three, we said what makes a customer say yes. Okay, and here we looked at the four qualities of value. Okay, we said that for a client to consider a product is valuable, there are these four qualities that he must, or rather, a good product should have for it to be considered as valuable. All right. Then number four, we talked about why people don't buy products. Okay, we also looked why people don't buy product per se, and here it's where we say that, well, in as much as they are buying product, but the point is they just want to use that product so that they can get the results that they want. So we said try to look your product as a tool to help your client achieve their desired results. All right, so that was that. And today we are going on the next topic. Okay, so today we want to talk about letting your light be known. Okay, we say let your light shine. So today's topic is let your light shine. Okay, it is like the biblical story where we talk about, when you have a lamp and you put it on, obviously you don't put it under the table, rather than you put it on the table so that it can illuminate light to others. And the reason why you are putting it on the table is because you want to give light to others. So it's your lamp, but when you put it on the table, other people will also see the light. And just that is the same way with a good product. A lot of people have very good products that they can offer solutions to people who don't know even that they exist. And the reason why they don't know that your product exists is because after creating or coming up with your product or service, you keep silent about it. You don't want to, to hype, because now it seems like marketing has gotten away with some bad reputation. And maybe you just think that if you keep cool, the right people will keep coming to you. Well, that is correct. But the point is, you are missing so much. Just by not marketing your product, you are missing a lot of money. And not only money, a lot of people want your product so that they can get the results they want. And so that is why it is important, even after coming up with a product or a service, you have to have the correct marketing infrastructure, because it does not just end with the product. After you create the product, now you have to do the marketing. You have to let people know that you have a good product, and they will be happy that you presented it to them. All right? So that is the first thing. Then I have my book here, my notes book. Okay? So the next challenge that comes into question after you come up with a product or a service is now marketing. Okay? And now here is where we need what? A marketing infrastructure. Marketing infrastructure. Okay? Now, a marketing infrastructure. Before we even define a marketing infrastructure, one of the challenges that businesses think that when you start a business, some of the things that you're supposed to have is you need to have a brand new logo, some graphic designs, social media platforms. You also need to have a website, of which all these things is true. You need to have them. But the problem is, or rather you call a digital agency, they craft you this graphic design and new logos. You go ahead and call a web designer. They design you a nice website, and then they leave. And now you're left with your logo, with your branding materials, and also with your website. So when you sit down and you consider, after incurring all these expenses, and you don't have a high return on investment, now that is where now you start accusing the digital agency. Okay? Now you start saying they did a shoddy work. Their work cannot produce results. Well, you might feel justified to complain, but I can tell you the problem will always go back to you. Now, you having a website in your business, a logo, okay? What else do you have? Social media platforms, okay? We also have something very important, branding materials, okay? Now, all these don't guarantee you success. Consider these as tools. These are tools. These are not the actual stuff that will bring you income or will make people know more about your product. This is not marketing. These are platforms that will help you to do your marketing. And so you blaming these people for creating this thing will be so wrong. But on the other hand, I wouldn't be the greatest advocate of these web designers and these marketing agencies, because your intention when you start a business is to see that business grow. Okay, so don't treat it as a hit and run. You want to see this person grow, and so as a web designer or as a digital agency, you also need to understand that before you come up with these materials, you have to explain to the client some of the things that he or she might require along the process. And so that is why we come back to our marketing infrastructure. So when you look at the definition of a marketing infrastructure, is a permanent process that involves systems, that involve tools, data analysis pipelines that will give you the final results. Because what we are interested is final results. And the final result is what? The return on income. This is the only way we can know that our business is doing good. Otherwise, without a return on investment, still there is a loop in this process as a business owner. When you have your marketing infrastructure, basically this is, now, like when you start doing marketing, what is the first process I will do? Probably, let's say you're gonna start with social media platforms. You start with the social media platform, you start growing it like that. Then you can probably next level, you can go to the website. After you go to the website, then after that, you can start integrating processes like the CRM, something that will help you to monitor now the clients or the customers that you are getting. All right. So I want you to see these, the website logo, social media platform, all these, I want you to see them as tools, okay? And not probably as the things that will make your business boom. So one thing we can agree here, before you bring in the graphic designers and the digital agency and web developers, make sure you have a marketing infrastructure in mind. Okay? Make sure that you understand or you know how this marketing infrastructure will be plugged, okay? Will be plugged to what? To the tools, okay? The tools that we talked about. Now, the moment you have this marketing infrastructure and you plug in these tools that we are talking about, now you are already on the right track to go. I know this is a problem with almost a lot of people. I wouldn't say a lot of people have this challenge. And this challenge is called something like that. Procrastination or something like that. Now, procrastination is the habit of keeping postponing things, you know? You say, I will do it tomorrow, I'll do it the day after tomorrow, and so forth, so forth. And so what I've come to understand is there's a difference between these types of people. When you look at the bell curve, okay? The bell curve looks like this. Like that, okay? So, here we have our curve that looks like that. So this is our x-axis, this is our y-axis, all right? And so, let's say up to here, it is 2%. And then up to here, it is another 2%. Then here is the middle, all right? Now, I want you to watch this. In this category of 2%, there are two types of people. Now, let's say this is positive. No, this can be positive. Okay, whatever is positive, and this is negative. Okay? And now here are the people called the midwits. All right? Now, this one, 2% positive, represent the total population of smart people. Okay? Smart stroke genius. All right? And these 2% represent, let's call them the dum-dums. Okay? So Mr. Dum-Dum, clearly, if you know anybody who kind of looks dum-dum, they don't take a lot of time to make a decision. Whether it's right or wrong, they don't care. They just make the decision and they get away with it. The same thing, and the reason is why. The reason why they are doing this is probably their unconscious competent. Okay? No, unconscious incompetent. Incompetent, not competent. They are unconscious incompetent. Okay? So unconscious incompetent basically means you don't know that you don't know, which is the most embarrassing thing. But the good news about this thing is that that's the reason they don't take a lot of decision, okay? And then when he does it, chances he gets it and is like, ooh, voila, it worked. Now, the same thing with the other 2% on the genius or the positive side, they also don't take long to implement things. And the reason is because they have already figured out, okay? They know what is expected. And this one, we can consider them as unconscious competent. Okay? Unconscious competent. Like they are masters. It has already gotten to them. It's like when you look like a footballer like Lionel Messi when he's playing football. I mean, it just comes and it just flows naturally from him. So he is unconsciously competent, that he does not have to calculate first before he makes the move. He already knows the move. All right? So that is the difference. But now, this is our problem. Okay? The midwit. They are always at the center, always taking long to make a decision, always finding reasons as to why something cannot work. That is who they are. And so I just came like, leaning here is useless. Really. It doesn't matter. All we need is the result. Now, the good news with the results, you can know which way. But I believe that most of us are in this category. Okay? So don't take long to make decisions. So that is the thing. Now we have to go to the last step. And the last step talks about marketing can be easy and can be hard. Marketing can be easy and it can be hard. This talk is probably just to warm you up, to understand that business is not that hard, really, as people probably might put it. The reason why business sometimes feels hard is because you go with your own intentions. No, you fixed your mind like you are going to sell, okay? But nobody wants to sell, or rather, nobody wants to buy, okay? So it's just about communication. The same product, but how you communicate, now that creates the difference. So, like we said, marketing can be one, easy, okay? And let's talk about the easy part, okay? Why can marketing be easy? Now, in our first class, we highly talked about why it is important to come up with a product that you can define its value, okay? And after defining the value of this product, you also have to understand the people that will be interested with the results that your product offers. And so, when you have the right product and you have the right audience, how else can marketing be hard? Okay? And the reason why I'm saying, like, it comes from the intentions. In as much as you are selling, and yeah, we agree we are selling, we all want to make some income. But that is not the approach. Okay? Don't go showing people like you are selling things to them. The moment you can define your value, even the way you speak, all you'll be talking about your product is the value of your product. I've once been in marketing, and I just didn't like when a guy, or rather, I'm the guy actually. Later now, after I understood it, I just couldn't understand why I'm presenting a product and then I'm giving the price even before the value. And you're like, okay, what's up? You can never quote the price of a product even without giving the value. All right? And that's why now, that's where like marketing or selling feels pushy. It's like you're forcing somebody to do something. Remember, we said you can never force anybody to do anything. And so when you have, let me just put it here, when you have right product, okay, and right market, okay, this is all you need. This is all you need to make marketing easy, okay? And we said the right product and the right market. But don't forget what we said. It's always good to go where people are looking, okay? So when you go where people are looking, now go where demand exists. That is what we said. Don't create demand. Don't try. Don't create demand, okay? Don't create demand. Go where demand exists. And when you look in the video, you will see some of the examples, some of the big companies that chose this way to go where people were, and now they are making a lot of income compared to creating demand, okay? So that is why marketing can always be easy. So let's see why marketing can be hard. Now, probably you might be thinking, so it's the opposite. Yeah, well, might be the opposite of marketing is easy, but I can tell you reason why marketing is hard. Okay? Now, one of the reasons why marketing can be hard is simply because, and I'm gonna put these, one, the main problem, impatience. Okay? Impatience is the biggest problem why marketing feels hard. Someone will tell you, I've been marketing this product for as long as I can remember, and like I've done everything. I've done everything, but this product is not just moving. Now, when you say you've done everything, I want to remind you that marketing marketing is a process, okay? Not an event. All right? Marketing is a process and it's not an event. So you can't just tell us that you've tried everything and now marketing is working. And we said, if marketing is working, you gotta look what's not working. Probably it's the way you're communicating or the way you are elaborating your value to your customers, or the audience, the target audience, your target market is wrong. You are probably selling the right product to the wrong people, or probably there's just a problem with your product. You have to analyze all these things, okay? And another thing that will factor in is what? Saturation, okay? Let's talk about saturation here for a bit, okay? Saturation. Now, I've been doing YouTube automation for quite some times. And when you want to start a new YouTube channel, one of the things you have to look is the niche. A niche is probably a specific topic you want to address. Probably people are interested in that topic. And so before you get into the type of niche you want to understand, you want to do, you have to look at what? You have to look at the saturation, So saturation, basically, how many people are doing that business, all right? So you have to consider that. How many people are doing that business? And if there is a lot of competition in that business that you want to venture, then you have to go ahead and define your USPs, okay? These are your unique selling points. Now, you are selling the same product. Now you want a portion of that market, okay? So clearly you have to have concrete reason as to why people now will stop buying to the existing suppliers that they already know and come to you. So you also have to define in your product, what are my unique selling point? What makes me different from my other clients? Something else I can say about marketing, there's no any magic bullet or any one button press that you can just click and everything goes automatic. Like we said, marketing is a process. It's not an event. And so we have to keep on improving, as we go by, based on how we get the feedback. Probably after we post our content, we go check the analytics, and now we can know what the people want versus probably what we are giving them. So that is the important. And so just because I said there's no one way to marketing, you have to understand what works with your product and the type of people you are addressing. Now, there are different types of marketing, all right? In as much as we talk about marketing, there are different ways in which you can approach marketing. And so for today, we said we want to talk about the small and growing businesses, all right? First, before we talk about the small and growing businesses, I just want to highlight some of the marketing methods that are available. Number one, we have direct marketing, okay? Number two, we have brand marketing, okay? Number three, we have content marketing. Number 4, we have email. Okay. Marketing. We have, what else? I remember affiliate marketing. Okay. Let's say number 6, the last one, influencer. Influencer marketing. All right. Now, these are all types of marketing that you can choose to venture into any, but you have to consider the product you are offering. Okay. There's a question a friend of mine asked me, and he was like, Tony, do you know, or rather, have you ever seen an advertisement for a car like Rolls Royce? And I told him, no, I've never seen any before. And he asked me, probably, where do you think these cars are sold? Like, do they have their showroom or something like that? What do you think about it? And I thought for a while, but obviously I didn't have the answer. And so he told me, these cars, they're just not sold in a common showroom. They are sold next to private jets and staffs of such status. And I thought to myself, that's a good location. The guys who are buying jets, I mean, if a guy can afford a jet, probably he can afford a Rolls Royce too. Okay. And so when you think about a company like Rolls Royce, just for example, when you look all these types of marketing, the closest one they can be, or they can get to, into what? Email. For them, it's email marketing can work more. Email marketing can work more. Now, there's another one, although I don't know if it's official. Number 7, I like it. It's called warmer. Okay? It's called warmer. Word of mouth advertisement. Now, word of mouth advertisement, when you think of a company like Ferrari. So Ferrari, they have their annual general meetings, as members, just to do their stuffs. I don't know what they do since I've never attended one. But the qualification for you to get into that meeting is you either have a Ferrari or you are invited by a person with a Ferrari. Those are the only 2 qualifications you can get into that their meeting. All right. So to them, it's kind of a referral method which is very effective. Actually, this is a very effective way of advertisement. Almost all businesses use this, because if somebody tells you, probably it might hit you twice. But now, to get back to where we are, we start from number 7. So we have talked about warmer. Warmer is word of mouth advertisement. Then number 6, we have influencers marketing. So this is where you basically decide to use influencers. Influencers, these are comedians, people with big followings in their social media platforms. And so, in the hope that when they wear probably your dress or your clothing or your fashion, they will do what? Other people will buy. An example of people who use influencer are the fashion designers. People like Amiri, they design clothes. We've got people like, what other? Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all these people, or rather all these companies, prefer influencer marketing because of fashion. Now, affiliate marketing basically means let's say you have a YouTube channel, all right? And now, because you have a YouTube channel and you have a following, now you can be selling other people's product through your channel, okay? And people can just be doing what? They can just be buying through you. So that is another way of marketing, affiliate marketing. You don't have to be in relationship with you don't even need to know how the product is made. All you have to provide is a marketing platform. And now that because you have numbers, it becomes an effective. We've already talked about email marketing. A lot of companies still use email marketing, but like we said, you have to understand your audience. I just find like some of the people who use email marketing, they sell high value products. That is something I've come to notice. So that is it. Content marketing. Now this is where things start getting a little bit easier, because now everybody does content marketing. Now basically content marketing is where you put your ring light, your phone, and now you start talking to people, explaining about what your product does or will do to them once they buy it. So that is content marketing. Then brand marketing. Brand marketing basically is using posters. You have seen these big posters, maybe on your way to highways, on your way, like when you're along Thika Road, we've got a lot of billboards, and so forth, so forth. So that is brand awareness. Now, all these have their limitations and they have their advantages, But brand marketing, it requires a lot of capital, And one of the challenges, it's a good method because up to now, big companies are still using it. Okay, you go around, you find billboards like for Homelink Mabati, you find Coca-Cola, you find other, companies that deal with land investment. And so, while brand marketing can give you the general visibility and it also gives you status, it makes you feel like, yeah, we are not hiding. We are open and we are transparent. I mean, it gives that vibe. Plus, it gives a feeling that, you are people who can manage your staffs, all right? So it have different meanings psychologically. But now the problem is sometimes is you can never tell whether it's working or it's not working because there are no analytics. Now, how will you know that somebody who came to buy your product came from a billboard? That's a bit hard to know. But either way, this marketing, these types of marketing, they have to be gradual. After you are done with the one, now you go to the next one, and you can't just do them all at once. So the last one is the direct marketing. Now, the reason why direct marketing is a bit easy because first, with direct marketing, the info is direct, okay? Number two, there is a call to action, okay? And number three, it's measurable, all right? You can measure. You can go into your analytics. Maybe that's Facebook or any other channel that you are using, website. You can go into the analytics and you can see what is happening with your channel. So this one, direct marketing, is a great, I just find it like, I find it a very effective way for small enterprises to start what? To start marketing. When you even start saying like running ads, here, number 4, running ads, for leads. So you find all these with direct marketing, the results are measurable. And when you are starting, that is all you need to know. At least you need to know what is working and what is not working, so that gradually we can go doing what? We can go improving. So that is that. These are the types of marketing. So for us, we will, in as much as we'll talk about the others as we move on, but our main focus will be what? Will be direct marketing, because you need to have enough capital to now start doing brand marketing. Even content marketing is not hard, okay? Content marketing is also easy. Emails, if you have to email somebody, word of mouth advertisement, this was the most effective one, just tell people. But I want you to remind you this. In as much as we are good friends with you and I'm buying your product, and your product have a bad quality or the value is not that strong, I'll also find it hard to, to refer somebody else to go buy it, So before we even let's work on our product. That's all I insist. If your product won't sell, then there's nothing else. Remember this analogy. We said a product, we use the analogy of what? A good microphone and a bad singer. Okay? So we said, even if you give a bad singer a good microphone, he will be just a bad, loud singer. And that is the same way. So I want you to see marketing as a way to amplify your product value. Okay? So if you use marketing and your product does not have good quality, well, that is what people will get. But the good thing, we say it's not a process, or rather it's a process and it's not an event. So you can always go back and understand why things are not working, because there are a lot of factors involved. It's just like, there's no one definition to success. It's an amalgamation. Is it amalgamation of many things, like collective, a lot of things have to be involved so that we can say now we are finally successful. So we will end it at that. What is our next topic? I always want to understand our next topic. The next one, we'll talk about now the next topic. So that now we can officially understand what we are talking about. We will talk about lean marketing. Okay? That is our next topic.